do a little reading for everyone. So, one of my favorite books by John Tyler Gatto called Weapons of Mass Instruction, a school teacher's journey through the dark world of compulsory schooling. He's written a bunch of other books as well. Dumbing Us Down is a pretty good read, as well as The Underground History of American Education. And I'll just start digging into this and see if you guys enjoy. Oh, here's a couple of the books right in the beginning. There's a couple other good books here. If you haven't read Howard Zinn, Underground History of American Education. Oh, that he was talking about that, the Underground History of American Education. Um, Howard Zinn had written a very good book as well, The Underground History of America, I believe. Hmm. Well, here we go. Here's the prologue against school. I taught for 30 years in some of the worst schools in Manhattan, and in some of the best. And during the time, I became an expert in boredom. Boredom was everywhere in my world. If you asked the kids, as I often did, why they felt so bored, they always gave me the same answers. They said the work was stupid, that it made no sense, and they already knew it. They said they wanted to be doing something real, not just sitting around. They said teachers didn't seem to know much about their subjects and clearly weren't interested in learning more. And the kids were right. Their teachers were every bit as bored as they were. Boredom is the common condition of the school teacher, and anyone who has spent time in a teacher's lounge can vouch for the low energy, the whining, the dispirited attitudes to be found there. When asked why they felt bored, teachers tend to blame the kids, as you might expect. Who wouldn't get bored teaching students who are rude and interest only in grades, if even that? Of course, teachers are themselves products of the same 12-year compulsory school program that so thoroughly bore their students, and as school personnel, they are trapped inside structures even more rigid than those imposed upon the children. Who then is to blame? We all are. My grandfather taught me that. One afternoon when I was 7, I was complaining of boredom to him, and he batted me hard on my head. He told me that I was never to use that term in his presence again, and if I was bored, it was my own fault and no one's else. The obligation to amuse and instruct myself was entirely my own, and people who didn't know that were childish people, to be avoided if possible, certainly not to be trusted. The episode cured me of boredom forever, and here and there over the years I was able to pass on the lesson to some remarkable students. For the most part, however, I found it futile to challenge the official notion that boredom and childishness were the natural state of affairs in the classroom. Often I had to defy custom and even bend the law to help kids break out of this trap. The empire struck back, of course. Childish adults regularly conflate opposition with disloyalty. I once returned from a medical leave to discover all evidence of my having been granted leave had been deliberately destroyed, that my job had been terminated, and I no longer possessed even a teaching license. After 9 months of tormented effort, I was able to retrieve the license when a school secretary testified to witnessing the plot unfold. In the meantime, my family suffered more than I care to remember. By the time I finally retired in 1991, I had more than enough reason to think our schools, with their long-term cell block style forced confinement of both students and teachers, as virtual factories of childishness. Yet honestly could not see why they had to be that way. My own experience revealed to me what many other teachers must learn along the way too, yet keep to themselves for fear of reprisal. If we wanted, we could easily and inexpensively jettison the old stupid structure and help kids take an education rather than merely receiving schooling. We could encourage the best quality of youthfulness, curiosity, adventure, resilience, and the capacity for surprising insight, simply by being more flexible about time, tests, and by introducing kids to truly competent adults, and by giving each student the autonomy he or she needs in order to in order to take a risk every now and then. But we don't do that. And the more I asked why not and persisted in thinking about the problem of schooling as an engineer might, the more I missed the point. What if there is no problem with our schools? What if they are the way they are, so expensively flying in the face of the common sense and long experience in how children learn things, not because they were doing something wrong, but because they are doing something right? Is it possible that George Bush accidentally spoke the truth when he said, "Leave no child behind"? Could it be that our schools are designed to make sure not one of them ever really grows up? Do we really need school? I don't mean education, just forced schooling, 6 classes a day, 5 days a week, 9 months a year for 12 years. Is this deadly routine necessary? And if so, for what? Don't hide behind reading, writing, and arithmetic as a rationale because 2 million happy homeschoolers have surely put that banal justification to rest. Even if they haven't, a considerable number of well known Americans never went through the 12-year ringer our kids currently go through, and they turned out all right. George Washington, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, someone taught them, to be sure, but they were not products of a school system, and not one of them was ever graduated from a secondary school. Throughout most of the American history, kids generally don't go to high school, yet the unschooled rose to be admirals like Farragut, inventors like Edison, captains of industry like Carnegie and Rockefeller, writers Melville and Twain and Conrad, and even scholars like Margaret Mead. In fact, until pretty recently, people had reached the age of 13 weren't looked upon as. In fact, until recently, people who had reached the age of 13 weren't looked upon as children at all. Ariel Durant, who co-wrote an enormous and very good multi-volume history of the world with her husband Will, was happily married at 15, and who could reasonably claim Ariel Durant was an uneducated person? Unschooled perhaps, but not uneducated. We have been taught, that is, schooled in this country, to think success is synonymous with, or at least dependent upon schooling, but historically that isn't true in either an intellectual or financial sense. And plenty of people throughout the world today find ways to educate themselves without resorting to a system of compulsory secondary schools that all too often resemble prisons. Why then exactly do Americans confuse education with such a system? What exactly is the purpose of our public schools? Mass schooling of a compulsory nature really got its teeth into the United States between 1905 and 1915. Though it was conceived of much earlier and pushed for throughout most of the 19th century, the reason given for this enormous upheaval of family life and cultural traditions was roughly speaking threefold: to make good people, to make good citizens, and to make each person his or her own personal best. These goals are still trotted out on a regular basis, and most of us accept them in one form or another as a decent definition of public education's mission, however short-schooled actually fall in achieving them. But we are dead wrong. Compounding our error is the fact that the national literature holds numerous and surprisingly consistent statements of compulsory schools' true purpose. We have, for example, the great H.L. Mencken, who wrote the American Mercury for April 1924, that the aim of the public education is not to fill the young of the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligences. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level to breed and train a standardized citizenry to put down dissent and originality. That is the aim of the United States, and that is the aim everywhere else. Because of Mencken's reputation as a satirist, we might be tempted to dismiss this passage as hyperbolic sarcasm. His article, however, goes on to trace the template for our own education system back to the now vanished, though never to be forgotten, military state of Prussia. And although he was certainly aware of the irony that we had recently been at war with Germany, the heir to Prussian thought and culture, Mencken was being perfectly serious here. Our education system really is Prussian in origin, and that is really a cause for concern. The odd fact of a Prussian provenance for our schools pops up again and again once you know what to look for. William James alluded to it many times and at the turn of the century. Orestes Bronson, the hero of the Christopher Lash's 1991 book, The True and Only Heaven, was publicly denouncing the Prussianization of American school systems back in the 1840s. Horace Mann's The Seventh Annual Report to the Massachusetts Board of Education in 1843 is essentially a paean to the land of Frederick the Great and a call for schooling to be brought here. That Prussian culture, looming large in America, is hardly surprising given our early association with that utopian state. A Prussian served as Washington's aide during the Revolutionary War, and so many German-speaking people had settled here by 1795 that Congress considered publishing a German-language edition of the federal laws. But what shocks is that we should so eagerly have adopted one of the very worst aspects of the Prussian culture, an education system deliberately designed to produce mediocre intellects, to hamstring the inner life, to deny students appreciable leadership skills, and to ensure docile and incomplete citizens, all in order to render the populace manageable. It was from James Bryan Conant, president of Harvard for 20 years during World War I, poison gas specialist, World War II, executive of the atomic bomb project, Commissioner of the American Zone in Germany after World War II, and truly one of the most influential figures of the 20th century, that I first got wind of the real purpose of American schooling. Without Conant, we would probably not have the same style and degree of standardized testing that we enjoy today, nor would be blessed with the gargantuan high schools that warehouse 2 to 4,000 students at a time, like the famous Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. Shortly after I retired from teaching, I picked up Conant's 1959 book-length essay, "The Child, the Parents, and the State," and that was more than a little intrigued to see him mention in passing that the education schools we attend were the result of a revolution engineered between 1905 and 1930. A revolution? He declines to elaborate, but he does direct the curious and the uninformed to Alexander Inglis's 1918 book, Principles of a Secondary Education, in which one saw the revolution through the eyes of a revolutionary. Inglis, for whom an honor lecture in education at Harvard is named, makes it perfectly clear that compulsory schooling on this continent was intended to be just what it had been in Russia in the 1820s, a fifth column into the burgeoning democratic movement that threatened to give the peasants and the proletarians a voice at the bargaining table. Modern industrialized compulsory schooling was to make a sort of surgical intervention into the prospective unity of those underclasses. Divide children by subject, by age grading, by constant rankings on tests, and by many other more subtle means, and it is unlikely that the ignorant mass of mankind separated in childhood would ever reintegrate into a dangerous whole. Inglis breaks down the purpose, the actual purpose of modern school systems, into the 6 basic functions, any of which is enough to curl the hair of those innocent enough to believe the 3 traditional goals of education listed earlier. Number 1, the adjustive or adaptive function. Schools are to establish fixed habits of reaction to authority. This, of course, precludes critical judgment completely. It is also pretty much destroys the idea that useful or interesting material should be taught, because you can't test for reflexive obedience until you know whether you can make the kids learn and do foolish and boring things. Number 2, the integrating function. This might be called the conformity function, because its intention is to make children as alike as possible. People who conform are predictable, and this is of great use to those who wish to harness and manipulate a large labor force. 3, the diagnostic and directive function. School is meant to determine each student's proper social role. This is done by logging evidence mathematically and anecdotally on cumulative records, as in your permanent record. Yes, you do have one. The differentiating function. Once their sole role has been diagnosed, children are able to be sorted by role and trained only so far as their destination in the social machine merits, and not one step further. So much for making kids their personal best. Number 5, the selective function. This refers not to the human choice at all, but to Darwin's theory of natural selection as applied to what he called the favored races. In short, the idea is to help things along by consciously attempting to improve the breeding stock. Schools are meant to tag the unfit with poor grades, remedial placement, and other punishments, clearly enough that their peers will accept them as inferior and effectively bar them from the reproductive sweepstakes. That's what all these little humiliations from first grade onward were intended to do. Wash the dirt down the drain. And number 6, the propaedeutic function. The societal system implied by these rules will require the elite group of caretakers. To that end, a small fraction of the kids will quietly be taught how to manage this continuing project, how to watch over and control a population, deliberately dumbing down and being declawed in order that the government might proceed unchallenged and corporations might never want for obedient labor. That, unfortunately, is the purpose of mandatory public education in this country. Unless you consider Inglis as an isolated crank with a rather too cynical take on the education enterprise, you should know he was hardly alone in the championing of these ideas. Conant himself, building on the ideas of Horace Mann and others, campaigned tirelessly for an American school system designed along the same lines. Men like George Peabody, who funded the cause of mandatory schooling throughout the South, surely understood that the Prussian system was useful in creating not only a harmless electorate and a servile labor force, but also a virtual herd of mindless consumers. In time, a great number of industrial titans came to recognize the enormous profits to be had by cultivating and tending just such a herd via public education, among them Andrew Carnegie and John Rockefeller. There you have it. Now you know. You don't need Karl Marx's conception of grand warfare between the classes to see that this is in the interest of complex management, economic or political, to dumb people down, to demoralize them, to divide them from one another, and to discard them if they don't conform. Class may frame this proposition as when Woodrow Wilson, the president of University of Princeton, said the following to the New York City School Teachers Association in 1909. We want one class of persons to have a liberal education, and we want another class of persons, a very much larger class of necessity in every society, to forego the privileges of a liberal education and to fit themselves to perform specific difficult manual tasks. But the motives behind the disgusting decisions that brings about these ends need not be class-based at all. They can stem purely from fear or from the by now familiar belief that efficiency is the paramount virtue rather than love, liberty, laughter, or hope. Above all, they can stem from simple greed. There are vast fortunes to be made, after all, in an economy based on mass production and organized to favor the large corporations rather than the small business or the family farm. But mass production requires mass consumption, and at the turn of the 20th century, most Americans considered it both unnatural and unwise to buy things they didn't actually need. Mandatory schooling was a godsend on that count. Schools didn't have to train kids in any direct sense to think that they should consume nonstop because it did something even better. It encouraged them not to think at all. And that left them sitting ducks for another great invention of the modern era, marketing. Now, you needn't have studied marketing to know that there are two groups of people who can always be convinced to consume something more than they need: addicts and children. Scholars have done a pretty good job of turning our children into addicts, but a spectacular job of turning our children into children. Again, this is no accident. Theorists from Plato to Rousseau to our own Dr. Inglis knew that if children could be cloistered with other children, stripped of responsibility and independence, encouraged to develop only trivialized emotions of greed, envy, jealousy, fear, they would grow older but never truly grow up. In the 1934 edition of this once well-known book, Public Education in the United States, Elwood P. Cubberley detailed and praised the way the strategy of successive school enlargements had extended childhood by 2 to 6 years already, and forced schooling was at the point still quite new. The same Cubberley was an intimate colleague of Dr. Inglis. Both were in charge of textbook publishing divisions at Houghton Mifflin. Cubberley as chief of elementary school text, Inglis of secondary school text. Cubberley was a dean of Stanford Influential School of Education as well, a friendly correspondent of Conant at Harvard. He had written in one of his public school administration, 1922, that our schools are factories in which the raw products, children, are to be shaped and fashioned, and that is the business of the school to build its pupils according to the specifications laid down. It's perfectly obvious from our society today that those specifications were. Maturity has now been banished from nearly every aspect of our lives. Easy divorce laws have removed the need to work at relationships. Easy credit has removed the need for fiscal self-control. Easy entertainment has removed the need to learn and entertain oneself. Easy answers have removed the need to ask questions. We've become a nation of children happy to surrender our judgments and our wills to political exhortations and commercial blandishments that would insult actual adults. We buy televisions, then we buy the things that we see on the television. We buy $150 sneakers, whether we need them or not. And when they fall apart, we are too soon to buy another pair. We drive SUVs, and we believe that the lie that they constitute a kind of life insurance even when they're upside down in them. And worst of all, we don't bat an eye when Ari Fleischer tells us to be careful what you say, even if we remember having been told somewhere back in school that America is the land of the free. We simply buy that one too. Our schooling is as intended, has seen to it. For now, the good news. Once you understand the logic behind modern schooling, its tricks and traps are fairly easy to avoid. Schools train children to be employees and consumers. Teach your own to be leaders and adventurers. Schools train children to obey reflexively. Teach your own kids to think critically and independently. Well schooled children have a low threshold for boredom. Help your own develop an inner life so they'll never be bored. Urge them to take on serious material, the grown up material, in history, literature, philosophy, music, art, economics, theology, all the stuff school teachers know well enough to avoid. Challenge your kids to play with plenty of solitude so that they can learn to enjoy their own company, to conduct an inner dialogue. Well schooled people are conditioned to dread being alone. They seek constant companionship through the TV, the computer, the cell phone, and through shallow friendships quickly acquired, quickly abandoned. Your children should have a more important life, and they can. First, though, wake up to what our schools really are: laboratories of experimentation on young minds, drill centers for the habits and attitudes of the corporate society demands. Mandatory education serves children only incidentally. Its real purpose is to turn them into servants. Don't let your own children, don't let, don't let you don't let your own have their childhoods extended, don't even for a day. If David Farragut could take a command of a captured British warship as a preteen, if Ben Franklin could apprentice himself to a printer at the same age, then put himself through a course of study that would choke a Yale senior today, there's no telling what your own kids could do. After a long life and 30 years in the public school trenches, I've concluded that genius is as common as dirt. We suppress genius because we haven't yet figured out how to manage a population of educated men and women. The solution, I think, is simple and glorious. Let them manage themselves. So I'll leave it there for now. That would be reading from Weapons of Mass Instruction prelogue. There you go. And we'll have a little chat about that if anybody wants to. What up, naked vegans? What's up, flying to the moon? Landing is a bad thing. What up, Jordan Whelan? What's up, Joe Mama? What's up, Fire Drake? Rewilding. Do you know that term, rewilding, Fire Drake? Very interesting. That's Daniel Vitalis years and years ago kind of coined. I don't know if he coined that word, but it was the first time I had heard it. Rewilding. I kind of enjoy that. Verilef. Of course. Yeah, John Tyler Gatto is hella good. Yeah. Adults are an endangered species. That's for damn sure. Yep. Yeah. And what's up, activation codes? Yeah. I definitely hear you on that, naked vegan. I think a big solution to a lot of this is to clean out your body, and if DNA is what people think it is, I do doubt some of the ideas of what DNA actually is, but that's neither here nor there. But the idea is still the same. Fasting, fruitarianism, raw foods, yeah, like dairy and eggs for sure, and that's good, Joe Mama. So maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do another book. You guys want to chat, or do you want to dig into another chapter in that, or another book? I have plenty of books back there, all pretty excellent. Let me go put a little snack in front. Let me put a snack in front of this dog real quick because she wants to eat, and then we'll chat for a second, and then maybe I'll grab another book. We'll see. Want some snackies? Okay. Yeah, I was gonna read Siddhartha, but I'm kind of on this this kick with the education system right now. Depends on the book selection. The Ringing Cedars of Russia. I don't have that. Um, Let me see what I have. That would be. So I got assholes. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Secrets of Shambhala, The 10th Insight, James Redfield. Studying Karma, Another Roadside Attraction. Thought for Themselves. International Folklorists, The 48 Laws of Power, the Art of Seduction, Still Life with Woodpeckers, The Winged Pharaoh, Adultery by Paulo Coelho, the Bhagavad Gita, Our Kind of People, A Time to Chant, The Four Agreements, Bruce Lee, Striking Thoughts, The Immortal, which is a great book, A Life of Pi, The Art of Racing in the Rain, Practical Guide to Buddhist Meditation, Fierce Invalids Home from Hot Climates, Skinny Legs and All, Carlos Castaneda, the Teachings of Don Juan, some Reiki stuff, Sisters of Treason, The Alphabet versus the Goddess, The Universe in a Single Atom, the Dahanwantari, African Temples of the Anunnaki. Pharmacist Desk Reference, Volume 3, Whole Food Medicines and Things. You guys might like that, because this is a small version of the Pharmacist Desk Reference. This is a small version of it. Oh, and I got the Emerald Tablets of Hermes, the Kabbalion, Change Your Future Through Time Openings, and then a bunch of other things that kind of maybe dig into this. We'll see. Here you go. This book right here. Medicines and Pharmaceuticals. The African, this is, I'll show you the book. It's not really much, this is Michael Tellinger's book, African Temples of the Anunnaki. Like really cool pictures of all of the different things going on and ancient stone sites and things. I guess there's not really much to read in this one. I got some of his other stuff. I don't think I have his other book here. Slave Species of the Gods. That was a good one. Yeah. Let me see if this is kind of readable here. If it's not a picture book. This is volume 3. I have the 2-volume 1400 page Pharmacist Desk Reference, if you can find that. Pretty much the greatest book ever written. Well, this is fun. I've actually never even busted this book open. It's kind of the oh, here you go. Check this out. I'll show you how cool this book is. Let's look around here. There's food signatures. Huh. Let me see here. Let's see what I got here, reading wise. I guess that this is probably not going to be very. This probably won't be very good for reading to you guys. I think it's something it would be better to look at. Yeah, we just chat, I guess, for a second. What if you guys any questions? Muscular system foods. Yeah. Immune system foods. Cool. You like that, Joe Mama? When I was talking about like if the guy only knew that, uh, yeah, the reference for that kind of work is bioacoustic. Ibrahim Karim, um, and how basically your energetic signature will have things growing around you that you need for your body. Oh, nice! You got that nettle from your house? That's awesome. The Ringing Cedars. I want to burn out my other books. Yeah, I don't really like books. To me, are kind of secondary. I mean, something like this though is the 1400 page thing is, yeah. Um, and I got a bunch of books at the other place. I've read out of those before. Hmm. Here for everybody that thinks here beer. Fermented foods and drinks are quite literally alive with flavor and nutrition. Um, think their flavors tend to be strong and pronounced. Think of stinky aged cheese, sauerkraut, rich earthy miso, sublime wines, organic beers. Humans have always appreciated the distinct flavor resulting from the transmutative and transformative power of microscopic bacteria and fungi. One major benefit of fermentation is that it preserves food. Fermentation organisms produce alcohol, lactic acid, acetic acid, all biopreservatives that retain nutrients and prevent spoilage. Eating and drinking fermented foods live is an incredibly healthy practice, directly supplying your digestive tract with living cultures essential to breaking down foods and assimilating nutrients. Not all fermented foods are still alive when you eat them. Certain foods, by their nature, cannot contain live cultures. Breads that are cooked, for instance, must be baked, thereby killing the organisms present in them. However, many fermented foods can be consumed live, especially those involving lactobacteria, and alive is the most nutritious way to eat or drink them. Fermentation makes food more nutritious. Fermentation also removes toxins from the body. Fermentation also creates new nutrients. As they go through their life cycles, microbial cultures create B vitamins, including folic acid, riboflavin, niacin, thiacin, and biotin. The bottom line is bottoms up. Cheers, mate. Here's to health. Yeah. So everybody that's on like vegetarian diet, you drink the beer, eat the ferments and the beers and things. Yeah. Hmm. Cool. uh, Naked vegans. Everybody knows that reading is 50% aesthetic. Yeah, I used to have a lot of books because it was cool to have books. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the natural environment, huh? That's not really readable right now. What's up, Katie in the universe? Oh, is he on right now? Nice, nice. I'll have to go check it out. I look forward to it. Marty leads. What was the do you remember what the title, what the topic was? Who you talking? You talking to me? You talking to me, Katie? Howdy. Yeah, that's old books have a really great smell or scent to them. Like new books are all like they got the plastic on them, and it's kind of I, yeah, I do love the smell of old books, like an old bookstore or whatever. Come on, come up here. No. You rant on the flat Earth and like yeah. I wonder how long that's gonna take for people to just like finally go yeah it's fucking flat, or no we then people just want to go no we live in the mental realm it can be any shape you want it to be, and those are people who just like you just jumping over the whole thing. Like, no, let's just forget about NASA just deep frauding you. Don't worry about it. Come on, up here. Let's go. Lay down. Lay down. There you go. Lay down. See the jealous little dog. There's a jealous little dog right here. Look at her. Look at her. She's so jealous. What are you doing? Yeah. So what's up, guys? What do you want to get into? Anything else, or should I wrap this up or what? Hi. You want some more? You do want some more food, don't you? And let me put some more. Let me put some more. I just gave her a snack. Let me give her this fat pig some more food so she gets out of my face. Come on, come, get down. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? We'll give you actually doggy dog food here. There it is. There it is. Dog is fed so well. Yeah, it is mostly that, huh? Fire Drake, the it's just the amount of fuckery and tomfoolery. Yeah, there's a lot of it. I know. I talk I get into a lot of different subjects and things, so that is I have a tendency to rant and rave on many different topics. Where's everybody at here? Where's everybody from? Who do I know here? Where are you from, Joe Mama? What's your locale? Who's in the States and who's overseas? What WI is that Wisconsin? Is it Wisconsin? Or is that because WY is Wyoming, right? Green Bay? Motherfucking cheeseheads out here. Hampshire. I've never been to Wisconsin. I've never been to New Hampshire. There's two places. Yeah. Atlantean. What up, Devmark? The Hotlanta. Yeah, man. Atlanta's one of my favorite cities. I'm thinking about making my way back up there soon. Because only one moved up to Atlanta out from North Carolina. LA. Yeah. Ottawa. Oh, you excited? 19 days. Completely legal? That's awesome. Ottawa, that's over near like New York, right? It's above the right, is it? I like cheese. I like cheese a lot. What's up, Pete? I love cheese. Yeah, man. Blue cheese is where it's at. Wicked boy. Yeah, yeah. I'll definitely take you up on that, man. I'll definitely take you up on that. Atlanta, yo. What part of Atlanta? Do you live in the city proper? Or do you live in like? I mean, it's a sprawling fucking city. It's huge, but do you live in the city or do you live outside of it? Yeah, clean ass Canada. Yeah, I've been to Canada quite a bit. Niagara Falls, Toronto. Yeah, that's I like Toronto. Yeah. Yeah, there's no seasons there. Is that what's happening everywhere? I mean, being down here in Louisiana, there definitely it's just basically it's summer or not quite summer, basically. Like I don't think what's like 90 today. I think it's like 90. It don't get cool anymore. No, there's no. Uh, I like it though, man. I don't know. Maybe it's not that hot today. 80s, 85. Yeah. Oh, you like small town, Katie? If I don't know, small. I need a mid. I like mid-sized cities. I like to be close enough to the city proper, and I don't. I'm not really rural area or suburbanite kind of shit. I can't fuck with that. I need to be close enough to things. But Buckhead, okay, yeah, I know Buckhead. Yeah, Dev Mark. I used to. Is the run and shoot still there? Is you still got the run and shoot down there? Because I know there was one up in D.C. And one in Atlanta, and I used to fly down to play at the run and shoot, man. Is it still there in that shopping center? Whoa, tornadoes, man. That's fun. You like small time? Well, Katie, I probably would like that if I had somebody to fuck with. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody that was into that kind of culture. Like, I don't know. It's just a different speed of people, you know. What's good? What's good? Mister A, Muffum Radio. What's up, dude? Or chick, whatever you are. Asheville. I've been through Asheville. I've never been. Like I've never stayed. That's where Gary Baxter is. Gary Baxter's out in Asheville, I think, or at least close to there. Oh man, the run and shoot was so much fun, man. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I mean, if you got animals, it's cool. Like if you got a lot of farm animals, but like if you got all that space, might as well fill it up with fucking, that's what it's. That's what the farm life is for, man. Got to make a mess of the field. Yeah, I don't know what's going on today. I'm gonna have to go look outside. I'm gonna go see what's going on with the chemical trails today. Let's see. No, we looking good here. It's cozy here. Ain't no chemtrails today. What's up, Gary? I speak the name and Gary Baxter pops in. What's going on, man? Yeah, Asheville, man. South African. So you like middle of the night, huh? Or nighttime? So what's up, Gary Baxter? How was how was how was the show? How was Marty's show? Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Marty's pretty wicked, man. Didn't you say he's out there in next to you, man? Don't you live near him? Isn't he out that way? Marty. My thoughts on kombucha. Uh, yeah, good. Anything. As I was just funny enough, I got maybe you weren't for the little reading that I did of the whole food medicine book. But yeah, anything fermented, man. Ferments are excellent. Oh, he's in Hawaii. Okay, cool. Hawaii. Yeah, kombucha is good stuff. Lots of good shit in there for you. I gotta make myself some kombucha soon. Do you make your own? It's pretty simple to do. Just just get a bottle that's got uh, the mother in it and go from there. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple to make. It really is. It's just just being patient, waiting for it. I think it probably only takes like a week and a change. It's not like how long it takes to make beer. Beer takes quite a bit. Most of the time, almost like 3 weeks. But can I do a recipe show? Sure. Um, what kind of recipes? What kind of things? Talking about like making kombuchas and beers and decoctions and things. I guess I could do that. That might be cool. I mean, I think I could probably do that because like I said, in my last show that I did, well, 2 shows ago, I was gonna do probably starting next week an herb a day, where I'll just try out an herb because I'm gonna start doing a bit of a fast here, liquid fast at least, and I'll do an herb a day, and during that I can probably do some recipes. Oh, that sounds awesome. Guava and passion fruit would be excellent. Yeah. Oh, you did? None of your jars rotted. That's very interesting. I guess you just don't have any hate in your heart, huh? You gotta unleash the anger, unleash the beast. You gotta unleash that shadow self. You know. Come on, you can come over here. Come on, come on. There you go. Good girl. Too high vibes. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Or you unleash the kraken. Yeah, I'm gonna do an herb a day, and then I'll do some recipes during that for. I guess maybe I'll do like certain ailments and things like that. What herbs are good to mix and make decoctions and uh, tonics and whatever. Maybe I'll do a recipe on root beer or something. Kraken is a rum and it's spelled with a K. Yeah. What? Katie, you just had a bit of a little stint on some heroin. It's funny because I was just looking up where to get good poppy seeds because a good poppy seed tea is nice. You know, um, I do enjoy an occasional poppy seed opiate kind of thing. And yeah, Kraken is rum. Maybe today I'll get my. We'll see. Maybe today I'll get my my shipment of two gins that I have coming. Morning Glory seeds. Yeah, I got a bunch of Morning Glories. I've never done a full like all out trip on them, but I've you know taken a few here and there. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. It's funny. I've never really had like an addictive personality to too many things. Like for me, it's just like with anything. It's like I'll do something, I'll do a lot of it for a second, and then I'm just like, I'm done with that. Could be anything really. The only thing I've really maintained is like, beers. That's about the only thing that I you know that stuck with me. You know, weed here and there, whatever. Ah, Hey man, I just got two. I got a new bag of sassafras root. Yeah. Um, it's a root riot beer. Riot beer. Yeah. If you have hey Gary, if you ever made root beer, like if you have a recipe, a good recipe, let me know. I like mint heavy. If you know any good recipes for root beer, I got my sassafras root. I gotta order some mint. Um, and whatever else you think goes well in it. Like maybe probably a little nutmeg, a little bit of wintergreen. Oh yeah, well it's pumpkin ale season. It's kind of weird, the Oktoberfest beers being in a hot climate, they don't really it doesn't really suit being here, I don't like it doesn't really work well with too much heat. It's kind of, a fall beer, right? And there's no fall here. Oh, what type of gin do I recommend? Ford's gin is some of the best shit you'll ever have. And the two bottles that I have coming are supposed to be super excellent. Monkey 47 and another one I forget the name of it. Joe Mom, you're addicted to tobacco and caffeine? Like tobacco or cigarettes and all the chemicals? And I mean I don't like caffeine. I that's not my thing, but yeah, and some people, the caffeine addiction is really also depending on the coffee. It's the chemicals in the coffee. So like some people can get off of coffee by using organic coffee instead of getting the light roast, getting the dark roast, and then moving out, getting into the um, espresso because there's less caffeine in it. It's kind of wean off that way, but you still get your coffee fix. And tobacco's weird. I like tobacco now and then, but I could never imagine like I've never smoked a cigarette. I've smoked tobacco though, and I don't see its addictive qualities. A lot of people get addicted to all the other shit that they're putting in it. Yeah, Bombay itself is not that good. Bombay Sapphire is pretty nice. Monkey 47 is amazing. Monkey 47 I've heard is amazing. Ford's is really really excellent. And it's here it was like 20 some dollars for a liter, and it's really good stuff. Sarsaparilla, sassafras and sarsaparilla, and vanilla. Right on. You want okay? So check it out, y'all. This dog is all up in my grill piece. I'm gonna take her out to the outside. So I'll probably come back on a little bit and we'll chitty chat. And if y'all want to talk about anything, let me know. A fire jack, that'd be wicked, man. Let me take this animal to the outside, and I will chat with you guys soon. Cause she's all up in my shit. All right, guys. Peace.